An open letter. What body positivity should be. First and foremost, I must begin with a general disclaimer. I am not a registered dietitian, a doctor, a nurse, a personal trainer, or anyone in the medical field. My field of work and study have nothing to do with health, nutrition, or fitness. I am writing this opinion piece, or recording this opinion piece, emphasis on opinion, as this is my own, as a consumer who has struggled with being healthy, who has carried around excess weight for the majority of my life, and who has been constantly belittled and badgered and bothered by both ends of this weight spectrum. On one side is fat acceptance, body positivity, and health at every size. On the other are the quick fixes, the fad diets, and the ridiculous weight loss gimmicks that at best have mediocre or temporary results, and at worst can be dangerous to your health and to mine, and encourage disordered eating habits. I have done some research and consulted sources that I trust, but I must stress that I am not an expert. I am sharing my experiences and problems that I have noticed. I want to start, however, by talking very briefly about some aspects of fat acceptance and body positivity that I actually do agree with. I believe that at their cores, these movements are meant to encourage people to love themselves and appreciate themselves and their bodies for who and what they are. I do believe that a person's weight or their health issues or where they are in their life does not determine whether or not they deserve respect, dignity, or decency. As far as I'm concerned, being human gives you those rights. I also believe that the concept of shaming people into losing weight is never a good idea, and that there are scumbags out there who make overweight and obese people feel bad because they are larger people. Now that I've talked about those things, I want to discuss 6 problem areas that I have noticed in regards to fat positivity or body positivity, fat acceptance, and health at every size. And I will, after I go through the issues that I've seen, I also want to propose some potential solutions that we can look towards. I don't just want to call out issues, I also want to try to give some potential solutions to those problems. The first problem that I see is the entire concept behind health at every size. There are some medical conditions and many mental and emotional struggles that cannot be seen with the naked eye. However, if someone is, for example, morbidly obese or severely underweight, you do not need a medical degree to see that that person is unhealthy. This does not diminish the potential worth or value of that person, but it does mean that that person is not taking care of themselves. Now, I will agree that there are some underlying conditions that can make it more difficult to lose excess weight, like PCOS or thyroid issues, but it's not impossible. You can't use those as an excuse. And the second problem that I see is that there is a hierarchy in the body positivity movement where people who are moderately to morbidly obese are more readily accepted than people who are mildly obese or who aren't obese at all. For a group that promotes and celebrates inclusivity on the surface, they are very close-minded and judgmental when it comes to people who are not obese. Shouldn't body positivity include all body shapes? Doesn't the underlying concept encourage all people to love their bodies? Isn't that the underpinning of the entire movement? If that's true, then that means it's not just for people who are moderately to morbidly obese. It means that the body positivity movement is for everyone. A third problem that I see is the promotion of unhealthy habits, and in some cases, praising moderately to morbidly obese people for gaining more weight. This is dangerous. Obesity is not this word that needs to be banished from our vocabularies. It is a medical term, and it is a medical condition that requires attention and work because it can lead to all kinds of health complications both now and later in life, like high blood pressure, diabetes, and sleep apnea, among a great many other things. And it also increases the risks of other conditions like heart attacks and certain types of cancers. If obesity is a trigger word for you, then that means that there are some underlying issues with your health and your mental and emotional state that you need to address. Obesity is not a cuss word. It is a medical condition. The fourth problem, the fourth trouble area I see is people from the fat acceptance and body positivity movements shaming people that, quote unquote, used to be part of the movement, but they decided to lose excess weight or eat better or create healthy lifestyle changes in order to improve their quality of life. Shouldn't the body positivity movement and the fat acceptance movement be celebrating these people instead of ripping them to shreds on social media? And also piggybacking off of that, I also see that when people, especially influencers who have a lot of followers, whose names have become very big in the news and in media lately, who are part of the body positivity and fat acceptance community, when they start working out or eating better, they deliberately state that it's for their mental or emotional health. I'm not saying that there are not mental and emotional benefits to eating better and working out, because there totally are, and I have experienced them. However, it's almost like these influencers have to include this disclaimer in the posts or articles or videos that they share about this so that they don't get bashed and dragged by their own community. It's like they're walking on eggshells and they're afraid to talk about losing weight. A fifth trouble area I have is that the fat acceptance community and the body positive movement are attempting to force people to find obesity beautiful. Beauty and attraction are extremely personal and subjective. Not every person you come across is going to find you attractive, no matter how big or small you are. So please stop telling society that they're being discriminatory just because they do not find you attractive, because that is not fair or true. And finally, the sixth trouble area, the sixth problem that I have, is that this movement is incredibly manipulative of impressionable people who struggle with their weight, with bad eating habits, or other underlying conditions and issues. As absurd as some of these posts and articles from the fat acceptance and body positive movements are, I can also see how easy it would be to fall for it, to fall into one of their traps. They shift the blame to other people or to circumstances outside of people's control. I know that in reality, I am obese because of my own choices. That is my responsibility, and I am dealing with the consequences of those choices. I might have been able to blame my family for my obesity when I was living at home, but when I moved out on my own, I had no excuses. I was in charge of my own groceries and I had my own money. I didn't have a lot of money, and I still don't right now, but if I was smart with my money and smart with my food choices, I got more food and I got better food for less money. The body positivity movement and the fat acceptance community would tell me that there's no point in trying to eat better or lose the excess weight off my body that I don't need. And a few years ago, I would have fallen for that. Hook, line, and sinker. Now, I don't just want to discuss the issues, like I said at the beginning of the video. I also want to discuss some possible solutions. First of all, instead of proclaiming from the hilltops that we're healthy at any size, no matter where we are, why don't we instead encourage people to become healthy regardless of their size, to improve their quality of health, to take even just small steps towards being healthier? I think that is a lot healthier and has more longevity. Number two, I think the body positivity movement should follow its own theology and truly accept everyone, every skin tone, every gender, every size, every shape, every height and width, burn victims, people who are missing limbs, muscular people, average people, and everyone in between. Third, obesity needs to stop being this angry buzzword. You can still love yourself and be happy with who you are and still accept obesity as a medical condition that needs to be addressed. We shouldn't be celebrating obesity, but we also shouldn't be shaming people because of obesity. We need to help them. Number four, we should be celebrating people who are trying to have a more balanced, healthy lifestyle and are striving to take better care of themselves, whether it's a big celebrity with a household name or the cute little lady who lives next door. If they are trying to better themselves, we should be happy for them and encourage them instead of telling them that their healthier choices are shameful. Number five, we need to accept the fact that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Sure, there are some people out there that are found conventionally attractive by most people, but that doesn't mean that every person on the planet likes them, and they shouldn't expect that. I, for example, have huge crushes on Tom Hiddleston, Matthew Good, Tom Holland, and Greg Sulkin. And yes, I have a thing for those British accents. Who doesn't, right? And again, that's an assumption that I just made. A lot of people find British accents attractive, but that doesn't mean that everybody does. And just because I find those four men attractive, that doesn't mean that everyone does, and that also doesn't dictate that those four guys will find everyone attractive that crosses their path. We need to accept the fact that everyone is different and that everyone wants and appreciates and loves different things in this world. And finally, number six, I believe this movement can and should continue, but it needs to go back to its foundation and its roots, which in my opinion are still good. We need to stop lying to people, and we need to stop people from lying to themselves. We need to stop people from telling themselves that there's nothing wrong with disordered eating, that there's nothing wrong with being at an unhealthy weight, and that there's nothing wrong with being severely thin and emaciated or being extremely obese. We need to teach people the truth. The human body, like everything else in nature, exists in equilibrium. If we are way too small or way too big, our body will figure out how to compensate and compromise as best it can to achieve equilibrium again, because our bodies are designed to survive. However, there is a difference between surviving and thriving, and I would very much like it if everyone was thriving and not just surviving. Finally, I want to say that I wanted to get all this off my chest because it has been driving me up the wall. I am not shaming anyone. I am not telling people they are worthless or stupid. But I am asking the influencers and leaders of this movement to stop lying to people, to stop encouraging bad habits, and to actually be inclusive, to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. In closing, I wish to quote Alan Roberts from the YouTube channel Every Damn Day Fitness: "Obesity kills." And it does. Sincerely, Hannah Erskine, an obese person who is trying to improve her quality of life and is decidedly not part of this incredibly biased and hypocritical body positivity and fat acceptance movement. I believe in the morals at its core, but I do not like or endorse what it has become or what it promotes. I want everyone to live a long, happy, healthy life, and everyone deserves that. Thank you for listening. And I hope that you learned something, and I hope that this conversation continues.